Hi, today we are going to learn about data and variable. This is the most important things that you should understand before we go on to the next steps in the research method. The first things that you should understand is what are data. I'll give you 5 seconds to think about it. Well, data are a set of informations. It can be in numbers, it can be sentence, it can be phrase or words, and also a code, like 1 for male and 2 for female, for examples. And the next one is we should know about the types of data. We have nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio data. So the first one is nominal data. You should know that this kind of data has a characteristics that it can differ one and another, but it cannot be measured. Okay, for example, gender. We have male and female. Male is different to female, right? And we can just give code for male, for example, 1 and 2 for female. Or we can also change the number like 1 for female or 2 for male. So there won't be any problem for that because this is only a code. That is not a value. And also color. Just please take a look at these colors. We have red, purple, dark purple, blue, green, and etc. So these colors are different one to another, right? And also the blood type. For example, A, B, AB, and also O. All of them are different, but there is no value. And the marriage status, like married and not married. And you can also give another examples of this kind of nominal data. And the second is ordinal data. So ordinal data can differ one and another, just like the nominal one. Okay? And the second thing is it has rank. The nominal data doesn't have rank, but the ordinal ones has its rank. For examples, if we are talking about educations, so we'll have elementary schools, junior high schools, and senior high schools. Or maybe you can add one more, university or college. Or maybe you will classify the university. For examples, diploma, or maybe bachelor degree, or maybe the master degree or PhD. It depends on your research. But the most important things here, the elementary school, junior high school, and senior high school is not only different, but it has rank. It can be based on the level of education and also based on the age of the students. So if you can just draw it, this is the lowest level of elementary schools, and this is the junior high schools, and this is the senior high schools. So it has a rank. It also work positions. And the winner in championships. Winner, the first winner, second winner, and the third winner. And please find another examples of these ordinal data. And the next one is interval data. It also has the same characteristics like the previous data. It can differ one another, it has rank, and one more thing is that it has an interval, but it doesn't have exact null. What is exact nulls? The real null. For examples, if we take a look at this Celsius degree, this is 0 here. It doesn't mean that the 0 Celsius and Celsius degree will be the same with the Fahrenheit degree. The Fahrenheit will be here, somewhere here. There's difference in level, right? This level will be same with 32 Fahrenheit degree here. And 32 Fahrenheit degree will be the same as 273.15 Kelvin. So, three of them has the same value. Not only three of them, the five of them have the same value. But if we just focus on the 0 point, 0 in Celsius degree will be different with 0 in a Kelvin degree if we boil water, right? So this means that the null or 0 points here is not exactly the same, but they all have an interval. So that's why we call them as the interval data. We can also have another examples of that, like the time. We have weight, like in the Papua, Nusa Tenggara in Indonesia, and also Western times, like in Java, and also Vita, like in Bali. So all of them are also interval data. And the last things, just take a look at the ratio 1. But before that, we should understand that this interval scale is also important. We can change the qualitative data become the quantitative one. How can we change that? By using the Likert scales. So for example, in perceptions, in our questionnaires, we will have these kinds of options. To measure the perceptions, we will ask them questions, and each items will have the choices like this: extremely good, good, not sure, bad, and extremely bad. And also the attitude: extremely agree, agree, not sure, disagree, and extremely disagree. Motivations: extremely motivated, or we just usually call that highly motivated, motivated or high, not sure or any average, not motivated, low, or very bad motivations. It is very, very low. Almost no motivations that we have. And behavior: we can just take a look at the frequency of your actions, like always, often, sometimes, seldom, and never. So the choices will based on your variable. So we call it as the variables. It's also variables. And this one as well. And behavior is also variables. And we can just have the range. Never. We can have the range from 0 to 20%. And seldom above 20, it means that 21 to 40%. And sometimes it's 40 to 60, and often it's 60 to 80, and always it's 81 to 100, the maximum one. Why can't we have this range? Because we have 5 options. It means that you need to divide it 100 with 5. So the intervals will be 20. Here the interval will be 20. Okay? And different occasions, for examples, if you just have 4 options, for examples, only, always, often, seldom, and never. So we just omit the sometimes, for examples. So please divide 100 with 4. It means that the interval will be 25. Okay, so it's very easy. And the next one, you can just continue it in the ratio data. Yes, this is the last types of the data that we can use in the quantitative study. Just like the previous data, it can diverge one another. It also has rank and interval, but with the exact null. So we have the real zero here. For examples, income in rupiah, age, if we measure it in year, weight in kilograms or grams, height in centimeters, or you can also have another units of measurements like decimeters or maybe kilometers. That will be fine. And just take a look at each examples. If we don't have any income, so just write 0. It means that you don't earn any money. Okay? And also the height of the plants. So here we have the height of the plants is 74.5 centimeters, for example. But if it has not grown yet, it's still under the surface, it means that it is 0 centimeters. Okay, so it's really easy to differentiate between the nominal, the ordinal, interval data, and the ratio data. So this ratio data is the most complete and complex ones because it has all of the characteristics. Okay, so we just take a look at this one. It's very easy to remember that, and it also has the exact null or the real 0. Okay, the 0 in income, the 0 in age, the 0 in weight, the 0 in height must be the same, 0. And this is ratio data. And next, after understanding about data, we should know what variable is. Okay, just take a look at this. Variables is some things with variations. From the word vary, variable, variations. Some things that is different. Some things that can be varied. That is variables. So, here is the examples of the variables. For example, if we are talking about human's body, so we can talk about their height, okay, or maybe their weight. So, height and weight are variables. Another examples, if we are talking about community, so the variable could be gender, male or female, nationality, perceptions, and also behavior. And if we are talking about the media, the variable could be the effectiveness of the media, the productivity of the media, and the quality of the media, or the quality of the content of the media. Okay? And after you have understood about the examples of the variables, it's really important for you to understand the types of the variable itself. We have independent variables and also dependent variables and others. And I'll give you the examples to make it clearly. Here, before we go on to the next ones, here's this concept that will help you to understand more details about the variables. So here, we will have the dichotomous variable and also the polychotomous variables. Don't worry, the variables is really easy to understand and to differentiate. Why? Because this one, if we are talking about dichotomous, please focus on this one, D. D means 2. So the variable is divided into 2 categories. For examples, gender. There are 2 categories or options, male and female. And occupations, we can have 2 options in our questionnaires, working and not working. Okay? And now, polychotomous, it means that the variable can be divided into 3 or more categories. It can be 4, 5, and etc. It depends on the research. For examples, educations. We will have the junior high school, undergraduate, postgraduate. And occupations. We can have artists, farmers, motivators, or maybe teachers or lecturers, and etc. Okay, I'm sure that you have already understood about the category of the variables. And next one, we also have the continuous variables. So the value of the continuous variables can be presented here, and you can just understand from the examples of the variables and the units here. So, it can be the ordinals or the ratio. For examples, if we are talking about the age, the unit of measurements can be years. It means that it should be the ratio. If no years or the years still 0 or null in a value, it means that the baby has not been born yet. Okay? And if you are talking about the income in rupiahs, it should be the ratio data. Okay? But we can't also have the ordinal one. For examples, age. How can we have the ordinal data? If you are talking about age, if you change the unit of measurements, for examples, we have the 70 to 30, for examples, 31 to 60 and above 60. It means that this kind of data is ordinal data. Why? Because we don't have the real 0. We don't have the exact value of the null. We just want to classify the data, to differentiate the data, but with a rank. It must be like this. These ones should be older than this one. And 31 until 60 should be older than this one. It means that it has rank. And how about the income? Just the same examples that you can classify or categorize, have 3 categories, for examples, like the income from 1 million rupiahs to 3 million rupiahs. And also more than 3 million rupiahs, it just like this, until 5 million rupiahs, for example, and above 5 million rupiahs. It means that you have 3 categories. But it is not only 3. You can also give 4 categories or maybe just 5 categories. It depends on your research. But you should have reasons. Maybe based on the previous research in the journal article. Maybe it's based on your discussions with the government and etc. So you must have the reasons to make this kind of category, right? And this also belongs to the ordinal data. So now you have already understood about the differences between the unit of measurements in ratio and also ordinal data with the same variables. Okay? And here we have the very necessary informations here. Continuous variables can be changed into categorical variables. But the categorical variables cannot be changed into continuous variable. I'm sure that you still remember this one. I will show you once again. This is the categorical variable, right? And this one is the continuous variable. So please understand what continuous variable is and what categorical variable is, and then just try to understand these informations. Okay, just go on to the next one. This is the independent variable and dependent variable. So what are they? The independent variables is not affected by another variable, but on the other hand, it can influence the other variables. Okay, and sometimes we just call that X. Another variable will be the dependent variables. So the dependent variable or Y is affected or is influenced by another variables. So they cannot influence the others, but they are influenced by the others. Okay? And in research, you might do these kinds of study, like you might have several independent variables and only one dependent variables. For examples, you have 3 independent variables, and your hypothesis will say that those 3 variables are predicted to have influence to the dependent variables. So here just one dependent variables. Okay, and we will go on the next slides, that is about the examples of independent variable and also the dependent one. This one. The first factors, for example, is the audience age. And the second one is the audience occupations. And the third one is the audience motivations. So you predict that those 3 variables give significant influence to the audience behavioral change. Okay? You won't analyze it one by one, no, but you will analyze the 3 variables here, the 3 factors together. It's just one analysis. And sometimes you can also have more than 3 variables. Once again, it depends on your research, and you should read as many as journal articles and also books, and also have the PRA survey to decide what your factors are. This is the factors: the independent variables, are factors. Okay, and the next ones. So here I have provided you some examples of these variables. It can be independent or static, so please don't be confused, because these independent variables just the same as the static variables. Why static? Because they are not influenced by another variables, so we just have the same value. But the dependent variable or dynamic variables can be influenced by the others, so that's why it is dynamics. But intervening variables is not the same as the moderating variables, so they will have different concept, and I'll tell you later on. And just take a look at examples here. Staff loyalty, technology adaptations, group dynamics, interactions, and so on, until you find age and participations here in the ends of the examples. I'll give you some time to reflect your understanding about variables and just try to decide or determine whether staff loyalty belongs to independent or dependent or intervening or moderating. Okay, I'll just give you one example. It really depends on the theory that you have learned from the previous course or from the trainings or from books or some journals articles. So, for examples, salary and motivations. So we are going to talk about the staff's salary and staff's motivations. I'm sure that we will have the same predictions, like it is predicted that the staff's salary, how much is their salary, will influence their motivations. Okay, if you have high salary, it can be predicted that you will have the high motivations as well. So here, the salary will be independent variables. Why? Because the salary can influence the motivations and it is not influenced by the motivations. It will be static variables. On the other hand, the motivations will be dependent variable. So it is really dependent on the salary's conditions, whether the salary is higher or the salary is low. And we will have two kinds of influence, the positive influence and also the negative influence. The positive influence means that the higher the salary, the higher the motivations. It could be the same results. If the salary is high, the motivations will be high as well. Or the lower the salary, the lower the motivations. It can be higher and higher or lower and lower, but you should notice that they will have the same value, higher and higher or lower and lower. On the other hand, if the influence is negative, we can say that if the salary is higher, I will draw it. If the salary is higher, the motivations will be lower. Or if the salary is lower, the motivations will be higher. So they will perform or give the different results in the end. It means that the influence is negative. Okay? So this is just the examples, and you can just find out the answers And I'll give you some times, maybe a day, to discuss with your peers about which ones is dependent variables, which one is independent variables, and intervening and also moderating. And I'm sure that you are still confused about what intervening variable is and also the moderating ones. So like I have promised to you that I'm going to explain about both intervening and also moderating. But before that, I'll give you a few minutes to try to understand these examples. Which one belongs to intervening and moderating variable between these two examples? You can also check the definitions first. What is intervening and what is moderating? Okay, I think the time is up. So just take a look at your answers, whether it is correct or not correct. The first one should be the intervening variable. And the second one should be the moderating variable. So what are the differences between both variables? It is very simple. We can just take a look at the examples. So here, please pay attention to the positions of the staff's motivations in intervening variables. So the staff's motivations is the intervening variables. Okay? So here, how to increase the staff's performance? Okay, we need to increase the staff's motivations. That's clear enough. We just have the arrows here. And the next questions will be, how to increase the staff's motivations? Yes, we can increase the staff motivations by increasing the manager's role. It means that if you want to analyze whether there is significant influence from the manager's roles to the staff performance, you cannot omit the staff motivations. You cannot have directly arose from manager's roles to the staff motivations. Okay? You will need the intervening variables. And from these pictures, from these examples, we can know that the manager's role gives significant impact to the staff motivations. If the manager's role is good or high, the staff motivations will increase. When the staff's motivations increase, so the staff performance will enhance. Okay, so we cannot omit these staff motivations. This is the key. And the second one, moderating variables. When we are talking about moderating variables, please focus on the salary. The salary is the moderating variables. What does it mean? The staff motivations can directly influence the staff performance here. We have the direct arrow. So, how can the salary useful for these situations? Yes, the salary will develops the motivations, impact on the performance. Just say that without any salary, we just close the salary. Without any salary, the staff's motivations will give significant impacts to the staff performance. But by adding the factors of the salary, by adding these moderating variables, it will strengthen the impact of motivations to the staff performance. Okay? So it's quite different between the intervening variables and also the moderating variables. And here we have learned about independent and also dependent variables. But here we can understand that if we just have one independent variables, just take a look at here the pictures, only one x here, it means that it belongs to be varied. Why be varied? B means 2 because here we just have two variables, the independent and also the dependent. But if we are talking about the multivariate variables, the independent variables should more than 1. It can be only 2 or 3 or 5 or maybe 7. And usually it is common that we will analyze more than 5 variables in the quantitative research. But again, it really depends on your research and you as the authors. It really depends on the theories that you have studied. And still with one dependent variables here. So multivariates is the number of independent variable should more than 1. It can be 2, it can be 3 or more. And here, the analysis that we will use in these schemes is regressions, for examples. I will explain about it more deeply in another video, but you should know about the types of the regressions. If it is bivariate, you will have the single regressions. Okay? But if it is multivariate, you will use multiple regressions. Okay, before we go on to the next one, just please to understand what is single regressions and also multiple regressions. You can find it many informations from the book and many kinds of sources. Okay, I think that's all. Explanations about data and variable. I hope that it's already clear for you and hopefully can be able to give you more insights about the data and variable and also the components of the quantitative studies. And here are the reference that you can use from Creswell and also Effendi and Tukiran, but on only those two references. This is the basic ones that you should understand and find at a bookstores. There's maybe just the ebook, if any, because this is also the old book, the very old book. But you can also find other resources because so many good resources that I found in the internet and also in the bookstores. Just feel free to use another resources if you cannot find this one. Okay, thank you very much. If you have any questions, please contact me and we can have very enjoyable discussions and fun discussions. Thank you.